My name is Inniss, and I'm pleased to share reflections on the Mid-Level Leadership Development Program 2023 on behalf of Cohort 20, the 20 Plenty Bosses. How it all began. When I was referred to the program and I read up on the Mid-Level Leadership Development Program, I immediately thought to myself, yes, this sounds like me. Quite quickly afterwards, however, I wondered how I would find it and if I would be able to keep up and balance my work and family commitments with the requirements of the course. I'm sure that we all had similar thoughts. However, all these concerns are, of course, now distant memories. The rubber quickly hit the road when we had our emotional quotient debriefing meetings. This is when we met her, Dr. Loy Parks, Leadership Development and Institutional Strengthening Specialist at CARICAD, our lead facilitator, coach, and mentor. Dr. Loy and her colleague, Ms. Trudy Waterman, were able to break down the results and begin to share insights into what the results indicated, but more importantly, how we could improve on weak areas and maximize on our strengths. It turns out that none of us was a lost cause. We were all investable. Then our journey began. It was really difficult to narrow down the many nuggets gained during the program to just 2 per topic. But given the time constraints, here goes. Virtual Session 1. Virtual Launch, Appreciative Inquiry, and Developing My Leadership Brand. Through the video of Leadership on a Submarine, we learned that ultimately moral and ethical responsibility should always rest with the captain or leader. We engaged in an exercise that allowed us to reflect on those leaders that we admired and to examine and identify those characteristics and attributes that made them stand out for us as great leaders. Virtual Session 2. How am I listening? And Introduction to Emotional Intelligence. As we looked at active listening, we were implored to find ways to effectively communicate with brevity. This is where we were introduced to the 2-minute brief. It was a relief to discover that emotional intelligence could be learned. Virtual Session 3. Being a generative leader. If there is one session, and trust me, there were many, but if there was only one that would stick with many of us, if not all of us, it would be Session 3, this session right here, where we examined ourselves above and below the line and looked at how we could challenge ourselves and see ourselves showing up each and every time above the line. From here on in, each interaction was examined through this lens. We continued with introspection, which helped us to identify triggers for slipping below the line and develop strategies to help us show up as our best selves and remain above the line. Virtual Session 4. Introducing Improvement Project and Developing a High-Performance Team. The Mid-Level Leadership Development Program always required us to dig deep, asking important questions like, who do we need to be in order to make the impact that we would want to as leaders? And then as a follow-up, what would we need to do differently in order to be that kind of leader? It was also in this session that we learned that interdependence is a secret sauce of any team and that it is important to be an intentional team builder. Virtual Session 5. Improvement Projects and Difficult Conversations. We learned of the importance of balancing empathy while ensuring that organizational goals were met. This class, too, was extremely impactful. I think that most of us dread having difficult conversations, but having been given the 5-step plan of acknowledging my responsibility, having a plan, listening and validating the other person, restating the outcome, and rehearsing with another person, we then felt better equipped to have these courageous conversations. Virtual Session 6. Health and Wellness and Giving and Receiving Feedback. At this point, we were just around the midway point of the program. We pivoted a bit, and this was major. We examined how leaders can achieve work-life balance and manage stress. Firstly, we needed to re-examine our definition of success, paying attention to all aspects of our lives as illustrated in the circle of life. Secondly, we were encouraged not to place the quality of our lives in the hands of our workplace. In essence, not to relinquish our lives to anything or anyone else. This was profound. When looking back at feedback, we reframed our thoughts and began to view feedback as a gift, an opportunity to improve. This session highlighted how much those around us observe us. Word to the wise, be careful how you show up. Virtual Session 7, Art of Delegation and Delivering Citizen-Centered Service. There were many great and insightful videos which were used throughout the program. And one such video on building a team highlighted that as leaders, we ought to thank and acknowledge, share our hearts and be vulnerable, create an environment where people can be their best, and guidelines for great delegation was another useful tool that has been added to our leadership toolkit. Virtual Session 8, Gender and Diversity and Results-Based Management and Performance Management. There were many exercises within the program, and one such exercise which made us chuckle but also highlighted how we see and sell ourselves in both casual and professional spheres was an exercise where we were invited to describe ourselves in one sentence if we were applying for a regional job, and in the other instance if we were setting up a profile on a dating app. Talk about fun and insightful. We also looked at gender and diversity, and we gleaned that consideration, sensitivity, inclusion, and wisdom are necessary in this era as a leader. Another great tool introduced was a gender and diversity analysis. Virtual Session 9, Values and Ethics, Leadership Implications and Applications. During this session, we were in breakout rooms with different presenters who had previously completed this same leadership development program, and the experiences shared in these sessions were indeed rich. Some of the gems shared included rising from downfalls and not allowing them to define us, no matter what, having a strong sense of self, and not limiting ourselves as there are many opportunities in the world. We were also reminded that ethical leaders set the tone and create and manage the culture. Virtual Session 10, Project Management and the Improvement Project. We learned that effective communication is so critical if a project is to be deemed successful. It is important that everyone be on the same page. During this session, we were able to identify the differences between project management and change management. And finally, we were able to define what success looks like with both types of management. Virtual Session 11, Public Sector Leadership in Disaster Management. In this region, given where we live and the increasing impacts of climate change, we need to be prepared at all levels for the inevitable. A clear distinction was made between hazards and disasters, and it became pellucid that leaders play a critical role in crises too. Virtual Session 12, our final session, Application to the Improvement Project and Appreciation Exercise. We looked at the template provided for presenting our improvement projects, and in breakout rooms sought to adapt, fit, and refine our improvement projects to align with those set parameters. The appreciation exercise was truly special. We were assigned a colleague who we had frequently interacted with in the breakout rooms and were given the secret mission of writing and presenting to the group our appreciation letter to that fellow participant. It was moving, insightful, and demonstrated the importance of active listening as we were able to look for those positives to celebrate in each other. We learned to be vulnerable and share with others and to be that sounding board. Now to the real impact of the program. The real impact of the program, though, was what emerged but was never written in the course outline. Today, having completed the CARICAD Mid-Level Leadership Development Program, we are walking away with a network of fellow leaders and friends spread across CARICOM, who we can rely on, forged out of sharing and being vulnerable with each other along this journey. Our leadership toolkits have been expanded and enriched with the many tools, tips, and techniques which have been shared and which were very much needed and appreciated as mid-level leaders who aspire to expand our horizons. But also better individuals, and based on what we have learned here, we can now apply to all aspects of our lives. Thank yous. What an absolutely excellent program and experience. Thanks for those who saw our potential as leaders and were willing to invest in us. To the team at CARICAD, wow! I had no idea what to expect, but this was top tier. And experience has taught me that there is always a lot of very hard work that goes on behind the scenes to be able to deliver programs at this level of excellence. To all those persons who we never saw or interacted with, but who played a role in the program, thank you. Special thanks to Ms. Trudy Waterman, Mr. Roger Seeley, and all the numerous guest presenters who shared freely with the 2020 bosses. It is clear that excellence is your hallmark. Dr. Lloyd Parks, our lead facilitator, you have taken us along this journey and shared authentically and freely with us. You were open, allowing us to not only benefit from your successes, but also your mistakes. You made yourself available for one-on-one sessions for those who requested it, and ensured we were always engaged, equipped, and empowered. Dr. Loy, you have changed our lives professionally and personally. Thank you does not quite fully express our gratitude to you. You are one of a kind. We thank you. To my colleagues, let's keep the connections going and stay in touch, and remember, carpe diem, seize the day. So from Cohort 20, the 20 plenty bosses of the Mid-Level Leadership Development Program 2023, we say a huge thank you. So from Cohort 20, the 20 plenty bosses of the Mid-Level Leadership Development Program 2023, we say a huge thank you.